In this video, I'll give you the best wide receiver to target in the early first round. I'm Jim Coventry of Rotowire. All right, CD Lamb is usually the first wide receiver off the board in drafts, and rightfully so. Last year, the Cowboys played 6 games before their 2023 bye. Lamb had 1 game with more than 7 targets. He was not a strong fantasy option. However, during Dallas's bye week, they clearly changed their philosophy. I'll give Mike McCarthy credit here. I often don't. After that bye week, Dallas realized we cannot run a sustaining running game. As a result, Dallas acted on that. They went very, very pass heavy. Not only that, but they did a great job of optimizing CD Lamb. When it was best for him to be in the slot, he was there. 54.7% of his targets were there. When they had a great matchup on the outside, they got him on that cornerback that was most advantageous. It was a great usage. And on the year, Lamb sees 181 targets. And again, that was with now having optimal usage early in the season. This year, Tony Pollard's gone. Zeke Elliott's in. Look, we love Zeke, but Zeke is a significant downgrade in terms of down and down. So the Dallas running game is not going to be sustaining this year. Rice Freeman doesn't move the needle for anybody. So CD Lamb could see that week 7 on usage of last year, the entire year this year. Don't be surprised if CD Lamb surpasses that 181 targets. And I know that's crazy to hear it, but yes, he can go over that. But the floor has to be ridiculously high. And CD Lamb is a superstar, and he will get open. League plays 73% zone defense, and Dallas understands how to optimize him. Don't blink. CD Lamb belongs where he's at in ADP. Another player you might consider in the early part of the first round, though, is Ja'Marr Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's an interesting case for Chase. Now, Chase hasn't always been the model of health. He has missed time in his short career. And so there's an issue there. Whereas we talked about CD Lamb earlier, CD Lamb rarely misses time. Now, that could change year to year. That's never a guarantee. Last year, though, Ja'Marr Chase, again, didn't play a full season, but regardless, over 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns, with Jake Browning playing much at a time, Joe Burrow playing early in the season on a limited calf. So the fact that Chase put up those numbers in that situation, they teach us a lot. Now, Ja'Marr Chase has not been that player of his rookie year where he was blowing the roof off of teams, because what happened was then the Chase and obviously Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs as a quarterback, those were 2 of the big cases where the league started going to those too high shells. Limit those explosive plays, make teams beat you at 12, 14, 15 play drives, maybe a holding call happens, maybe an incomplete pass, the team may punt. So anyway, Chase has not had many massive games since the league went to those too high shells. Now Chase sees a lot more underneath work than he had in the past, and that's a very important thing. And Chase was 76th percentile after the catch last year. Now, again, last year, only 10 PPR points or more in 9 of 17 games. But again, the situation wasn't great. But back to Chase. I want to talk the big games too. We see the biggest games he's had since his rookie year often come in those matchups against NFC teams that have never played him before. It's like they don't realize the speed on tape until they play against him and they get burned. But the teams who consistently see Chase understand and know how to deal with that. But that said, if the Bengals, they're already going to pound Chase with targets. But if they can build on that 35% slot share that Chase saw last year, there could be some real potential for added upside. We have seen when the league and the offenses attack the zones with the slot, there is a lot of potential for big plays there and run after the catch, finding seams and lanes and things like that. Now, Chase is on record as having asked the coaching staff to play him more in the slot. And Chase's line was, at this point, the coaching staff doesn't fully trust to put him there for whatever reason that may be. I have no insight on that. But regardless, the team could consider weaponizing Chase more. In that scenario, in a healthy season, Joe Burrow healthy, the maturation of the offense, Ja'Marr Chase has the talent to compete with anybody for the number 1 overall spot. So he is in the mix. He hasn't seen that target share like CD Lamb has, but that's not to say it won't happen. We have seen Chase frequently get double-digit targets in games. So It's a little bit of a stretch because he hasn't had, even that rookie year is 1,455 yards. It was a great season, but that wasn't a 1,700 yard season like we've seen from other receivers. So that is something to consider as well. So Jamar Chase, again, hasn't done it, but the potential is there. Hey, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Rotowire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings by getting a free 2-day trial. No credit card needed. You just go to rotowire.com/Jim and see all of our content. Now, the last player I'm going to add in here, and can't forget him, Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. Now, Tyreek Hill, you take the only 2 years he's been in Miami, which is the last 2 years, at least 1,700 yards in each season. Jefferson was hurt last year, so that means in the 2-year span, Tyreek Hill has been the best receiver in fantasy football. The floor ceiling is insane. Last year, now he had some nicked up issues. Wasn't like big injuries, but he was nicked up. And we remember, he was well on pace, Tyreek Hill was, to go over that 2,000 yard mark. And then once the injuries kicked in, Miami's offense got figured out a little bit. Tua Tagovailoa maybe underthrowing a few too many passes. When Hill was nicked up, it's not as easy for him to go back for that 5-yard underthrown pass, jump over 2 defenders, grab the ball, and make them pay. It takes a lot. And Hill is going to turn 30 this year. Maybe that means nothing. Maybe it means something. But all that said, Tyreek Hill is in an offense where he is going to see 170 targets. That's the way it's going to be. He's going to be on the field. He's going to be heavily targeted. He's going to be weaponized. He's going to be set up for yards after the catch. He's going to be used downfield when that can work, and Tua can actually get the ball down there. But all that said, Tyreek Hill is the elite weapon. Look, CeeDee Lamb may have had more production last year, but CeeDee Lamb is not the weapon that Tyreek Hill is. There are some questions. And again, the quarterback, would I rather be attached to Dak Prescott with CeeDee Lamb, Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase, or Tua Tagovailoa? And there's questions there. But all that said, yes, the age is hitting. Yes, he was nicked up, but he's still Tyreek Hill, and he has still shown in 2 years that he is the elite of the elite. So you definitely can't leave him out of the equation. So the final verdict, I am going with CeeDee Lamb as the top option here. I just think the quarterback situation, the fact that they can't run the ball, whereas Tyreek Hill, Miami can run the ball, and there can be games when that works well. So I think CeeDee Lamb is in a unique position, and the injury history has been mostly clean. I know that can change, but he's still young. Definitely easily early in his prime. And I just think in that scenario, I think we just don't overthink it. We put Lamb first. Now, between Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill, look, you could make the case that Chase can have that season, but he hasn't had it yet. And Tyreek Hill's had 2 of them in a row. So again, let's not overthink this one, and let's leave Tyreek Hill as the second of these 3 options. Jamar Chase, look, if you want to swing for the fence, 100% understand it, because we know how special a talent that is. He's young. Burrow right now is healthy, and I get it. But I think for the sake of this battle in terms of who you're taking in the early first round, I think you've got to move Jamar Chase to the 3rd spot, and that is no knock on Jamar Chase.